A much different day for Democrats, a different attitude, different numbers.
It is. We're going to see how long that's going to last.
That's right.
But joining us today is Jeff Zeleny from the New York Times, who has some fantastic breaking news out of the White House, where it's also going to be a new day. Jeff, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the fact that Robert Gibbs stepping down as White House press secretary, what this means, and who's going to replace him?
What it means is that he's the most visible person in the White House. He's at the briefings every day. He's really has become sort of a household, at least face, if you will, if not a name. And I think it means that there is a, more of a restructuring going on there, than we once thought. If you put everyone together on a list who is coming and going, there are a lot of people changing offices. But at the end of the day, Robert Gibbs is still very much going to be in Barack Obama's orbit. He's been with him from the very beginning, since April of 2004. He may be more helpful on the outside. This president now is going to need a defender on television, defending against Republicans, explaining his policies, and that is what he's going to do.
And you talked actually to the president himself this morning about this decision to change a little bit in terms of his team. And take a look at something he said. This is a great quote. "We're not going to be dilly-dallying along when it comes to making sure that we're executing on behalf of the American people." I do think the timing is interesting here. First real day back in Washington to make this announcement. We've got the chief of staff still out there too. We've also got economic posts that have to be filled. A lot of moving, but a sense from the White House they want to move quickly.
No question. I asked the president, I said, are these staff rollouts going to basically be, consuming the whole month of January? And he said, no, we're not going to be dilly-dallying. So really, I expect things to wrap up pretty quickly, because the first matter at hand here is the State of the Union address, and they're working on that as we speak. So I look for a chief of staff announcement to be made, a decision to be made by the end of the week, an announcement maybe next week. But the president would not go there when I asked him this morning who his other personnel changes were going to be.
But these personnel changes, it's not like we're seeing really like clearing of the decks here and a whole new team brought in, right? What difference would it make to have somebody like Bill Daley in there?
And there's no shadow operation going on. I think that's important as well. These are people who are still part of the same, basically the Chicago fraternity of people around him. But I think a Bill Daley, should he be selected, would change things in some respect. It would sort of give a level of comfort, a comfort blanket, if you will, to the business community. I think centrists would love it. Liberal Democrats may not. It would also be an imposing figure in the White House. People would be afraid of Bill Daley. Yeah. I think that it would instill this sense of discipline and sort of a sense, a wise gray hair, or a gray beard in the room, if you will. But I don't think we want to get too far ahead of ourselves. It could still be Pete Rouse, the interim chief of staff, who the president is very comfortable with. But the biggest person coming in, the biggest change, David Plouffe. Yes, he's been part of the orbit, but he's never worked in government before, never worked in the West Wing before. He will instill a discipline that's been lacking.
And do you get a sense that the White House is looking for a dramatic statement, maybe out of the State of the Union, to try to engage Republicans, put them a bit on the defensive, try to get them to the table on some big issues, knowing that the math is different?
I think the State of the Union will be a conciliatory. I think the engagement and the sort of the bring it on moment, if you will come in specific incidents, or discussions like the healthcare debate. The White House is fine having a healthcare debate, repealing it, because the American people actually, some of them like some of these provisions.
Individually, when you get down to it.
Individually.
Jeff, we need to ask you, what is it like to get a call from the President of the United States? You know it comes in advance, right? But what's the number come up on the caller ID? And is it just, hey, it's Barack, what's going on? How does it happen?
It's a special number from the White House, and the President's secretary says, Jeff, please hold for the President. And he came on the line, and about 4 minutes later, he got off the line.
4 whole minutes.
That's
not very long.
That's pretty exciting. Okay, just very quickly, having a new press secretary, what is that going to mean for you and the rest of the press corps?
I think it means that you have to sort of, really put them through their paces and find out what they know. Are they going to be in the room for meetings? Robert Gibbs was in every meeting. This new press secretary may not have as good of access.
Right. For better or for worse, you knew that Robert Gibbs was on the inside, and he knew the answer to a lot of these questions.
He didn't always share what he heard, so that was the worst part.
That was the worst part, exactly. Jeff Zeleny from the New York Times, breaking some news today about White House staff changes, an interview with the president. Go check it out at nytimes.com. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That does it for this edition of Top Line. For Amy Walter, I'm Rick Klein. You get us on Twitter, twitter.com/Rick Klein, twitter.com/Amy E. Walter. Happy 112th Congress, everybody.